Hey, it's 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Charisma. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. And what we do every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time is we're here to mastermind, to grow your real estate business. And what we're talking about today is staying ahead of the game. How do you stay ahead of not just the other agents that are out there, but changes in the market with Zillow, with Redfin, with all these, things that agents perceive as threats and that they like to complain about, but they don't think about how you're going to have your competitive edge over these mediums, over these larger corporations, over investment, hedge fund real estate, and all these things that, a lot of agents perceive as a threat to your existence when really they can be a benefit to your existence. So that's what we're talking about today. How to remain competitive, how to stay ahead of the game, how to stay ahead of your competition. I'm super excited to bring today's show to you. I'm John Charisma. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we're live masterminding to grow your real estate business. So thank you guys for tuning in today. If you haven't seen this show before, welcome. Make sure you check out tampaschool.com/success because this is going to be where you're able to find all the previous episodes of State of Real Estate, of all this information we have to help you grow your real estate business. So what we're talking about today is maintaining a competitive edge, how to stay ahead of your competition. And we're going to talk specifically about real estate because this is State of Real Estate. But look, if you have other businesses as well, you can apply these same concepts in other businesses. So what you got to do is pose some questions. Pose some questions, first and foremost, to really kind of question that whole, status quo type of thing of looking at each step in your sales process and asking yourself, is this something that's absolutely necessary? Is this something that's helping me grow my business? Or is this something that, maybe is a waste of time? Or maybe something that's even holding you back from growing further? So let's try to get specific in this here. Let's say that we're trying to target sellers. So we're trying to target sellers. We're trying to work with more sellers. There's all kinds of gimmicks that are going on today. There's the things like, like OfferPad or Zillow Instant Offers where a seller can, go and get an instant offer on their property. Now, again, a lot of agents view this as, oh my God, this is a threat to my business. This is going to put me out of business. When really what they're doing here, you've got to understand what's even going on before you just start complaining about things. You've got to understand what these items are, because if, somebody asks you, well, what about, doing OfferPad or instant offers or, whatever these other options they have available to them. And you're like, oh, well, you don't want to do those. Those are just scams. And if we don't have anything to back that up, they're going to like, oh, wow, this person's just really threatened by whatever their competition is. So you don't want to be threatened by the competition. You've got to know your competition better than your consumers do. You've got to know the competition. So regardless across the board with this, you've got to know the competition. And you want to know what they charge, what they do, you want to know maybe how they operate. How they profit. And again, these are all questions. Now, if you don't have the answers for each of these questions about your competition, then you're opening up the opportunity for your consumers, for your clients to know more about the competition than you do. And I should really say potential clients, because these are people maybe that you haven't won over yet. You're going there and they're considering maybe doing one of these Zillow Instant Offers or OfferPad or whatever the case may be. Now, with most of these budget type of options, and this is nothing new, they're just getting more exposure. They're just breaking more out of obscurity. One of probably the easiest, earliest forms of this whole, cut rate, flat fee type of situation is something that's been going on for years, way back. And this is the whole idea of, the flat fee MLS listings, where you pay X amount of dollars and you get your property put in the MLS. You maybe pay $100, $500, maybe depending on what package and what they're charging. But you pay some sort of certain flat fee and then the property goes in the MLS. Which, same thing that happens today when all these people get all, oh my God, look at this. And it's just more people are recognizing this because they have the marketing dollars to put this stuff out there. But back when the flat fee MLS stuff, I don't even know how old this stuff is because it's been around for as long as I could remember, at least to some degree, where, again, the sellers just pay a certain amount of money, a certain flat rate, and that's it. No commission. They just pay a flat fee up front, and then that's it. So that already answers the question just by doing a little bit of research. Okay, that's what they charge. Okay, now, what do they do? And the reason why you want to ask these questions here of what do they do, so you understand what it is that your clients would get should they choose to do an option like that. But then more importantly, what do they not get? What is it additional that you could offer that's not included in your competition? And look, maybe we're not talking about these, bigger companies and whatnot. Maybe we're just talking about the other realtor that farms the market that you work in. And you know that when you go in on listing appointments, they're maybe thinking about this other realtor. They're maybe contemplating choosing this other realtor. So you're trying to figure out, well, how do I make sure that I'm better? How do I make sure that they choose me as opposed to this other realtor? So that's, again, you got to ask yourself the question, not only what they charge, because maybe you're charging the same rate, maybe they're charging less, but then again, you've got to follow up with what is it that they do? What is it that they're not going to get if they choose that other agent as opposed to when they choose you? So you've got to ask that question, what do they do? And then maybe that next question here, how do they operate? You really got to study your competition. No one should know your competition better than you. Even your competition, you know the competition better than the competition knows themselves. So that's where you've got to be if you want to maintain the competitive edge. And then finally that question, how do they profit? That's pretty straightforward when they're out there, just practicing real estate with like you, but maybe also the question of how much do they profit? Maybe they're operating at a loss. Now, if you're trying to compete with somebody operating at a loss and do the same things that they're doing, that's going to be extremely difficult. Unless you've got some other way to make money by you replicating them operating at a loss without the rest of their whole business funnel, then you're going to end up operating at a loss. And if you don't have anything else to monetize this, that, other ways, other upsells or things like that, one of these examples here, the whole listed.com. I don't know if you've seen the commercials for that. They're everywhere right now. And listed.com, they're offering up this whole, only pay 1.5% as a listing commission or pay no money for a listing commission. And the reason why they're able to do that is because they're not counting on the listings to monetize. They're counting on the whole RP funding to monetize. They're counting on the mortgage loan origination to monetize. So if you're just trying to match their rates with what they're doing there, you're going to end up losing money because you've got to understand how they profit. So now how can you take advantage of this? Maybe if you're trying to imitate that, you don't necessarily have to be, Robert Palmer or RP Funding or anything like that to be that and be on TV like that. You could lead generate the other ways. And now having that more personal connection is going to make you stand out. But maybe, again, you want to try to be more competitive to those types of rates. That you want to adjust your business. And how can you do that? Well, maybe that's where you're finding out how it is that you could stay within compliance limitations and regulations and team up with some sort of lender. Maybe you've got a lender that's paying for your advertising because your lender's advertising with you. And maybe that's a way that you're able to cut your cost in advertising, so then maybe you could cut your commission rate. Or maybe you're not even cutting your commission rate because, again, you're asking that question, what do they do? And then what do I do differently? Look, we're not done yet talking about how to stand out from your competition, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Kurzmo. You're watching State of Real Estate. What's required to become a Florida real estate broker? Well, a few things. Number one, you have to have at least 2 years experience as a sales associate or a broker. Now, this experience could actually even be earned outside of Florida. It just has to be 2 years within the last 5 years. So 2 years of experience to become a broker. You also need to take a pre-licensing course. The broker pre-licensing course is 72 hours. It's got a 100 question and of course exam. Once you pass that and file all your paperwork with the state to upgrade to a broker license, then you just need to pass your state exam. That's another 100 question exam. You need to get a 75% on that. You complete those items and you'll have a Florida real estate broker license where you can open your own office or just remain with your current broker as a broker associate. To find out more about upgrading your real estate license to broker, check out upgradeToBroker.com. That's upgradeToBroker.com. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where we're talking about how to stay ahead of the game, how to stay ahead of your competition. And look, here's what's going to happen. If you're asleep at the wheel, your competition's going to fly right by you, and you're not even going to know what happened until it's too late. So you've got to stay aware. You've got to study the market. You should be devoting a portion of your time every single day to understanding, what else is out there. How can you grow the real estate business? Something that you want to think about is when you're running a real estate business, and a lot of agents don't think of it as running a real estate business. They're like, oh, well, I work for Coldwell Banker Realty, and that's the business. I'm just an agent at Coldwell Banker. No, you're not. You're an independent contractor, as is basically every other real estate agent that's out there. You run your own business, and even if you are a W-2 employee of your brokerage, you're still running your own business. To not think of it as your own business is doing yourself a failure. Unless you're only paid a flat salary, you don't get a penny more for anything that you do, no raises, no anything, you got to think of what you're doing as running your own business. And this is even more important when you really are running your own business. So you've got to think of how most companies are structured. They've got different entities. They've got the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer. They've got the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. They've got the COO, the Chief Operations Officer. So, a big company is going to have they're going to have people dedicated to each one of these roles, dedicated to growing the business, dedicating to managing the finances, dedicated to running smoothly. You might have a chief marketing officer dealing with marketing, making sure the business is getting the appropriate amount of exposure. You're going to have all of these different roles in a large company, but what happens when you're running your own business? What happens when you're a one-man or a one-woman show? You've got to wear all these hats. You've got to wear the CEO hat. You've got to wear the CFO hat. You've got to wear the COO hat. You've got to wear the CMO hat. And you change roles. You've got to dedicate some time to working on growing your business. You got to carve out time every single day to grow your business. And this is the big thing that's going to keep you ahead of your competition if you're finding out new, inventive, and creative ways to grow your real estate business. That's what the CEO does. They're also kind of holding everything together, but they're the captain of the ship for the most part. They're the ones steering the business this way or steering the business that way and making sure everyone else is doing their part to achieve that greater goal and that greater mission that business is out there to achieve. So their goal, their role of where they're contributing to the business is how are they moving that business forward. Not what direction they're pointed in, because if you're the captain of a ship and all you're doing is just changing direction, but that ship isn't moving forward, you're not going anywhere. So they're making sure that the ship is moving forward, but also making sure that it's moving forward in the right place. Then we've got the CFO. Now, the CFO is in charge of finances. They're the person that, looks at, what's the breakdown of the money that's being made and the expenses that are going out. And you've got to wear that hat as well, because yes, it's always more important to increase the amount of income that you're receiving, but then at the same time, it's also important to manage your expenses. Because if your expenses exceed your income, you're not making money, you're losing money. So this isn't as important if everyone else is doing their roles, but it is still necessary. It is still necessary. And you've got to think about this. If you're not performing these roles, how can you outsource this to others? How do you find a good accountant that will help manage your finances, that'll make recommendations on what it is that you're going to do, on how it is you should structure yourself? And that accountant is a good start, but they're not the sole person. They're not necessarily the CFO of your business. They might give you some good advice and help you out in that arena there. But you do have to play a certain role of making sure that the money is spent is getting the greatest return on investment. So really, that's probably what I want to put in here is the ROI. That when you're wearing that CFO hat, that you're ensuring that you're getting the highest ROI possible. Now, the COO of operations, the Chief Operations Officer, they're charged with ensuring that the business runs smoothly, that everything is being done in the most efficient way possible, that deals are getting closed, that you're not wasting time in any one particular portion, that again, everything is operating smoothly. And this is where a lot of agents get hung up on, but not necessarily being the Chief Operations Officer, but just dealing in the operations, just being in the business. You've got to remember this. If you're working in your business, you can't be working on your business. It's one or the other. You're either working in your business or you're working on your business. Now, when you're in the COO role, this is where you're, for the most part, in your business. And you don't want to get hung up in your business. The CEO is working on the business. The CFO, that could really be either or. It's typically more when you're working in the business, though, because you could have $1 million worth of expenses in a year if you brought $2 million in gross commission income, or even if you brought in $1.25 million of income. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot if we bring in $1.25 million and our expenses are $1 million. You're like, wow, we spent way more money than we earned. But what's that $0.25 million? What is $250,000? If you're doing this in a year, you're bringing in $250,000. If you've got to spend $1 million to bring in that $250,000, that's a huge year, $250,000. Maybe you get that more. Maybe you can manage these expenses, bring that cost down a little bit. But if you're bringing that cost down, you've got to make sure it also doesn't drag down that top line revenue as well. Maybe you're spending a lot of money in advertising to get to that $1.25 million. If you cut your advertising expense, your revenue is probably going to fall as well. Your income's going to fall as well because you're not getting as much exposure anymore. And then speaking of exposure, going down to the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, again, when you got this hat on, you're in charge of marketing, which is getting more exposure for your business. How do you make it so everyone who could possibly ever need your service or knows somebody that needs your service, how can you make sure that everyone knows your name, knows the name of your team, knows the name of your brokerage, whatever it is that you're trying to get people to know, how to ensure that you have that knowledge out there. And again, that's where this could be either or. This could be also in your business, but at the same time, it can be on your business. Look, I completely understand that. I know how much you get hung up in managing Facebook ads or managing Google ads or, doing the mailers. If you're the one, stamping and stuffing all of your mailers, don't be confused that you're working on your business. This is helping the business grow, but you're not necessarily in that chief role. These chiefs, these C's, the chief executive, the chief financial, the chief operation, and the chief marketing officer, when you're in these roles, you're focusing on growing the business in one way or another. When you're actually dealing in the business, that's where you're not necessarily growing it as much as you could be if you're planning out, okay, well, let's do X amount of mailers to this place here. And maybe you hire an assistant. Maybe you employ your kids to stamp and stuff these envelopes. Maybe you find a firm. You don't need to necessarily hire an employee to manage your advertising. Maybe you find some sort of firm, some sort of advertising agency that manages your digital advertising for you. There's so many ways where you can make sure that all of these roles are getting filled. And I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out here, but there's different parts of your business that you've got to focus on because, again, you are running a business. And this is a big part of staying ahead of your competition and ensuring that all these pieces of your business are being taken care of. Because I guarantee you, Zillow has all these roles plus some. Redfin has all these roles plus some. That OfferPad has all these roles plus some. That whoever your competition is, if they're better than you, they're doing a better job at managing these different roles. So you've got to look at this from this perspective and understand what each of these roles are. And as you grow out your team, this is where you start to focus and hone in on, okay, this person, they're going to be in charge of the finances. They're really good with numbers, so they're going to be in charge of making sure that, we're not spending too much money, and the money that we are spending is spending in the most efficient way possible. Look, we're going to take another quick commercial break, but stick with us. I'm John Carissimo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, so if you're thinking about starting a real estate career, it could feel a little overwhelming sometimes. Look, that's completely understandable. That's why we're here to help. If you haven't already, check out our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success, or if you don't even know where to begin, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Give us a call. We're the Tampa School of Real Estate. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where we're talking about staying ahead of your competition. Now, before we went on break, we were just talking about these different roles, these different hats that you've got to wear in your business. And, a lot of agents, especially when you're new to real estate, look, it's understandable when you're new. It's understandable to have these limitations, but it's not understandable to not do anything about it, especially when you know that you have these limitations on yourself. Because you've got to fill these different roles if you want to be able to grow your business. And that's a big part of staying ahead of your competition, is how can you grow your business? How can you earn more business? That's what the CEO is focusing on. How can you run your business more efficiently? Or maybe form some sort of arrangement, some sort of deal with, maybe a lender or something like that to, again, make sure that you're staying within the RESPA and any other regulations that are out there. But how can you get creative to form these relationships that could help grow your real estate business? How can you ensure that your business is operating in the most efficient way possible? And how can you ensure that you're getting the exposure? Because the big reason why you see these big companies, the Zillows and all the ones that I've mentioned so far, why you see them and why you're hearing about them and why you know that competition exists, is because they're focusing on the exposure. They're breaking out of obscurity. They're making sure people know who they are and what it is that they do. Because if you don't get that exposure, it doesn't matter how great your business is. It doesn't matter how efficiently you run or how well you manage expenses or all the great ideas it is you have to grow if you're not getting exposure. If you're not exposing yourself to people, you're not going to be getting any business no matter how great your business is. We're going to take another quick commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Carissimo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I am John Carissimo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, making sure you know how to grow your real estate business. If you never watched this before, make sure you go to tampaschool.com/success, where you'll be able to see all the previous episodes of State of Real Estate. And really just kind of trying to wrap up everything it is that we've been talking about today. It's about growing your real estate business to stay ahead of the competition. And we started off by talking about these questions that you need to ask to understand your competition. Now, if you don't yet understand your competition, you're already behind your competition. You've got to get out there and understand what it is that they're doing, what it is that they're saying, what are they communicating to their potential clients. How it is it that they're marketing? How can you market differently? Because look, some things you might want to replicate their business, but other things you might find a way that works better. You might find something that's maybe more of a niche strategy, something that focuses a little bit more, that maybe isn't so broad. You know, Zillow is a worldwide international company, but they don't necessarily have that personal touch that you do. So you can't necessarily replicate that worldwide exposure. You probably don't have the funding for that. You don't have the capital to do something like that, but you can. Again, now where we're figuring out how you could go differently with this here, I've seen a lot of agents being able to offer these instant offer type of programs. It says, yeah, we have hedge fund investors. And this is a perfect example of real estate professionals adapting to grow their business. They know that there are disadvantages to using, the hedge fund and investment purchasing where, you're going to get a lower price than what it would typically sell for at a retail price of on the open market. If you put it on the market and you've got some time to get it sold, you don't necessarily need to sell quick. You could get a higher dollar amount, but you want to have that option available. Because if you don't have that option available, you're basically throwing away money there. And a lot of agents have pivoted their business to be able to offer this option of, oh yeah, we actually do have investors who are actively looking to purchase properties, and they can give you an instant offer. Oh great, yeah, that's what we need to do. Now they don't need to go anywhere else. You're able to be that one-stop shop solution. And then it's just that question, how do you monetize this? Do you still earn a commission when you're working with that investor? Maybe it's a smaller commission. Maybe you're only earning just 1% on the deal when you tie it in with this investor. Maybe it's still 2 or 3%. Who knows? This is where, again, you've got to ask these questions and figure out how you could design these strategic relationships. Because now, rather than them having to go to Zillow or OfferPad or wherever it is that they're going to go to get, this instant offer, you can now offer that. You can now broker that deal between this investor and you. And maybe you've got these lined up with investors who are serious investors who are ready to buy. They just don't buy at retail price because good investors don't. Most investors aren't going to pay retail price. If they are, they're probably not a great investor. Because you make money on the purchase of a property, and most investors know that when you're going in to purchase property. And look, if you're trying to figure this out and grapple with how you can bring investors into your business, but you don't understand the mindset of the investor, of what it is that they're going after, what it is that they ultimately want out of these deals here, then you're not going to be able to form these strategic relationships with them. We're going to take one more commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Christopher. You're watching State of Real Estate. Have you completed your post-licensing education yet? Look, I know you're probably thinking, hey, it's not my renewal deadline. I don't need to do post-licensing yet. But look, here's why you want to do post-licensing as soon as you've got your real estate license, as soon as you're able to take post-licensing. It's not just another course about arbitrary laws that you're never going to use again. It's about real-world, usable topics that'll help you grow your real estate business, to help you take it to the next level. Look, let me ask you this one question. If this course helps you close just one deal, if you get one extra deal from post-licensing, is it worth the investment? I'd say it is. We get paid pretty well, so one deal means a lot of money. Check out postflorida.com. That's postflorida.com for the full details about post-licensing. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in today to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I hope you're able to take, even if you just look, I know not everything that we talk about every Friday, you're not going to find value, or maybe it's not even something possible for every last thing that we talk about, but we talk about a lot of things. And if you're able to pull out just one thread, you just grab one thread and pull that thread and see where that thread leads, to where you're able to use this to impact your business. That's the goal. If you could just take away one tiny detail that just helps you make just a little bit of extra money. Look, the only investment that you've got here is your time. So think about that. What little part of today's episode are you going to be able to apply in your real estate business? Because, this information is great, but without any application, it means nothing. You've got to implement this information that you're pulling on here. So maybe it's you're going to spend more time every day thinking, and okay, I've got to devote a little bit of time to thinking like a CEO. I've got to devote a little bit of time to thinking like a CFO. I've got to devote a little bit of time working as a COO. I've got to devote a little bit of time being the CMO. And if you're able to switch gears like this and change these hats that you think about, because a CEO thinks different than a CFO, than a COO, than a CMO, because they all have these different specialties. So maybe that's the one thing you're taking out. You're going to spend a little bit of time every day wearing these different hats and thinking about your business from these different perspectives. Or maybe that part you're thinking about is, you're maybe worried about your competition and you're trying to figure out how do you stay ahead of the competition. So that's where I strongly urge that you get out there and you just study your competition a little bit. Find out what they're doing. If there's something that's coming up on your listing appointments with sellers, or maybe something coming up when you're working with buyers, and there's a particular business, a particular entity, a particular somebody out there that they're taking away some of your business, study them. Find out how it is that you can communicate that you're better than them. How you can have a different strategic position compared to what your competitors are offering. So figure out what that one thing is today. If you need to rewatch today's stream, go to tampaschool.com/success. You'll be able to watch the full recording of today's episode as well as all the previous episodes of State of Real Estate. It's about all the time we've got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you've got questions about obtaining your real estate license, getting your broker license, completing post-licensing, continuing education, anything it is that you need real estate education-wise, we can absolutely help you out with that. Give us a call. Our phone number is 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. You'd also check us out online at tampaschool.com. It's all the time we've got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.